Right then, who is your money on?
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy. With me, your host, Jan. Oh, it's the big civil war. It's the huge implosion of Chelsea Football Club with Todd Boehly and his gang wanting to buy out Clearlake Capital, and Clearlake Capital going, you ain't doing that. So saith reports from all over big respected broadsheets in footballing media. But just today I was listening to the Athletic, football briefing, and Liam Twomey was reiterating that actually it was initially Boehly that was like, I don't like how you guys are moving, we're going to buy you out. Not that he speaks like that. I was going to do an American accent, but let's not offend anyone. Let's just do the video. And actually, Clearlake responded. Their post was, buy us out? Well, if anything, we ain't going anywhere. If anything, we're going to buy you out, mate. And again, I doubt Bedad or Feliciano said that. We're going to get into it today. And also, a nice little warm, fuzzy feeling is Thiago Silva returning to Chelsea, visiting Cobham, which is nice. So thank you for joining me. We're going to get into it today. It's sort of a little bit of a talking piece, this big civil war. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get into it. Right, so we even look at this first because this is nice. Thiago Silva's social media, as you can see here, outside Cobham. Having a lovely time there. He posted some of these pictures saying, it's always a pleasure to return to this special place. Thank you for your continuous affection. The feeling is mutual. See you soon. Yeah, him with like staff around Cobham. He loves it. He's a man of the people, Thiago Silva, and we love him for that, don't we? He loves Chelsea. God bless him, so do we. But will there be a Chelsea tomorrow? What's the future of our football club? Well, I don't know. We're going to talk about it now. Let's do the theoretical thought exercise of Boehly versus Iqbali. How do we get to this so soon? So soon. You've got the Athletic, not the Chelsea correspondents, but some other geezer, I forget which journalist, talking about how co-ownership rarely ever works in football, offering examples. And you think, like, again, I said in yesterday's video, if you haven't watched the second video I uploaded yesterday, it's like a 32 minute, or it's over half an hour video on the long read, reacting to a good portion of the long read from Liam Twomey and Simon Johnson of the Athletic, speaking about the law, as it were, for this big fallout at Chelsea. And it just makes you think, bro, like, how did you not see this coming? Like, why couldn't you... Why do we, as a club, have to be the business exercise for these guys to figure out they can't work together? Why couldn't they, like, open up a hot dog stand first or something? Do you know what I mean? Why does it have to be our beloved institution? Why? Right, so let's talk about who we've got available. Ding, ding, ding! In the blue corner, Todd Boehly, part owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers Major League Baseball team, and initial interest... Okay, I can't do this much longer. The guy who initially wanted to buy Chelsea and put together the consortium that was later known as became the company Blue Co. Todd Boehly. We'll go into more detail about this chap in a moment, or at least what I know about him. Okay? And in the, I suppose, other blue corner, you have Clearlake Capital, the big fund that are worth, or backed by, so saith the Times, backed by a fund worth 90 billion pounds that they control. Iqbali, and also they've got personal billion wealth of Feliciano and Iqbali. They're billionaires as individuals, so is Todd Boehly, but 90 billion pound fund they are backed by and control. Now, if you're turned on by money, that one might tickle you in places. For that, my friends, is a shitload of money. Now, when Chelsea were put up for sale, when we were sadly, tragically, and frustratingly sanctioned by the UK government, though I won't go into the geopolitical reasons now, of course, because what's the friggin' point? Many Chelsea fans across social media platforms, probably a lot of them young, so make that what you will, were like, bring me the Saudis, bring me this, bring me that. They basically, what proved for that, what was but the best suitor for them was the biggest financial worth, the backing. That was the number that gave them the dopamine hit that governed their not so educated decision. Often, this is the case, on who they wanted to buy Chelsea. Whoever's got the most peas, who's got the most money, well, you know, because they've seen other sports washing projects come into clubs in Europe and just throw loads of cash around. Obviously, financial fair play is a thing now, and apparently, under this new ownership, we've negotiated that relatively well, I must say, because in the time they've owned Chelsea, Man United have been sanctioned by UEFA and fined for breaching financial rules. Chelsea actually haven't, despite spending a lot of money. So they've wriggled their way through that. Although you have to say, in the ways they've done it, that well will eventually run dry. And what do I mean by that? I mean selling hotels to yourself. They're done now. You know, selling the best academy graduates for pure profit. Though I imagine, you know, more will come through. Cobham's well respected despite the big turnover of staff there. You can't expect the same. Now, I've always kind of like leaned into the glass half full element of this, of it's the beginning of a new stewardship and tenure, and if you can do a few things to give you a little boost start, like a head start, crank it, get some momentum to pick up, to catch up, because they wanted to clear decks with staff, a lot of players as well. There was going to be financial losses, teething issues, learning experiences, etc. So if you can utilize your wild cards early doors just to get yourself going, then fine. That's not just in football, that's everything. That's in like life, business, games, heck, video games, you get that little head start going, but it can't be relied upon for long term. So Chelsea fans wanted owners with a lot of money. Money. Wrong button. Wrong button. Why would it transition? Hold on, I'm having problems with my stay. Cool, yeah. Right, hold on, my thing's freaking out. Right, Stream Deck is behaving now. Sorry, I had to pause the recording there. It was like flashing and going peculiar. Chelsea fans want owners or, people who run the club with a lot of money. And out of the two, you'd have to say that off this, the Times apparently saying that a fund worth 90 billion, certainly more than Todd Boehly. Now, Todd Boehly, Hans-Jörg Weiss, Mark Walter, they are putting their own money in. They are rich people. Todd Boehly's a billionaire himself, similarly like Feliciano and Iqbali, but obviously they don't have this fund behind them. But there was suggestion from different reporters across different publications that actually, should Boehly need to, that from away from his trio of Hans-Jörg Weiss, who doesn't give a so-and-so about football, apparently, he's just like letting them do what they want. But as far as I'm concerned, what I can see, obviously him and Mark, a bit more invested, believe that there could be external investment for financial muscle to buy out Clearlake Capital and run Chelsea. Now, some people are speculating this is a smoke screen, and a smoke screen, different people give different reasons. And some people think it's actually Boehly doing this, saying we'll buy him out because they want to get bought out for as much as possible. He wants to leave Chelsea, but he wants to maybe get as much money as possible. And to do that, he's going to pretend he wants to buy the whole of Chelsea. So to buy him out would cost more money, maybe? Do you know what I mean? So lots of people are coming up with like their own theories and stuff like that. But at the moment, we don't know who's going to, people are saying that it could be more likely Clearlake buys out Boehly. People are still saying, well, no, Todd Boehly wants to run Chelsea and he wants to do it his way. So let's talk about the differences, and then we can talk about who we think, or who I think should own Chelsea out of the two. Right, differences. Apparently, which makes me kind of like a bit confused, really. But there's been suggestion in the media that Boehly's problem with Clearlake, Bedadik, Boehly and gang, is they're too obsessed with player trading. Now, many people, neutrals, Chelsea fans, would probably go, yes. You know, even if there's like intelligent moves there to generate revenue, to build the multi-club model or whatever, it's just so much, isn't it? It's so easy to be like, too much, which kind of makes me, as Boehly is the sort of the sports franchise owner coming into Chelsea, as far as I've known, you know, Bedadik, Boehly has no experience with this. You know, clearly they have no experience. Todd Boehly, you know, came in and sorted out the Dodgers and turned them into a winning machine. I believe he's got the part ownership of the Lakers or some of involvement there. Like, he's got experience with sporting franchises in US. Granted, it's US sport franchises. It's different to, you know, English football. But it's still experience. So with that background, I always thought that Todd Boehly was going to be the player trading, you know, guy who wants to trade. Maybe that's just a, you know, an unfair assumption, prejudice even, to be honest. And, you know, there's talks about how he wanted to literally trade players, which just doesn't happen in European football, as he had to rapidly learn. It's much more of an American thing. And again, maybe it was like the Talk Sports, the Daily Stars, and all the broad tabloids, giving this Todd Boehly some sort of American nutter who's come over to run Chelsea and wants to trade players and play a 4-4-3 formation and all this narrative. And he took a lot of the heat. He's still taking the heat now. Even now, you got Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Sports going, I'm not going to do a Scouse accent because I'm, again, trying not to offend people, but talking about Todd Boehly. What's Todd Boehly doing? And we know now that he's not really the one doing much. If anything, he's taking a step back more than ever, and it's the other guys. But, yeah, I had this perception of him. So who do we want? Look, there's differences. Okay, there's differences. Boehly wants to do it one way. These men want to do it another way. I think a lot of it's to do with player trading. A lot of it, of course, the big fallout was Pochettino. Todd Boehly wanted to keep Pochettino. Clearlake didn't. The sporting directors, who I guess I'm not. I don't think the sporting directors, or I don't know, but from what I've read, I don't think the sporting directors are Bedadik, Boehly's guys. I think they were both appointed and signed off by both, because they have to be signed off by both Boehly and Igbali and Feliciano. So they all signed off on these two sporting directors. It's not like these are like minions working for Igbali. Although it's kind of easy to think that now, because they're the ones doing all the trading. They're the ones flanking Bedadik, Boehly every single Chelsea game, with Todd Boehly nowhere to be seen. So it's come across almost as his like lieutenants, and it's kind of creating this narrative now. But yeah, okay, so the sporting directors came up with an 18-page document explaining why Pochettino should be sacked. And to be honest, I'm okay with it. I've said it before, that I'm okay with it. I love Pochettino as a guy. I think he's like a real wholesome, sweet dude, and I mean that genuinely. And I think he's probably an excellent manager, and I think he'd probably be like a nice guy to like hang out with. Do you know what I mean? Genuinely. And I think at times, and certain times in football historically, he's been a good coach. I don't think he's the guy for Chelsea. And I said it, I was just really quick. I know I keep saying it, but I'm going to reiterate. Chelsea bleeding goals is the most un-Chelsea. For what Chelsea is to me, we don't bend over like that. We don't concede record amounts of goals. And you can give your own reasons about, oh, it's the players, it's this, and no, it's nonsense. You got a team, you stick 2004 Jose Mourinho, and I know it's a hot tall order with that team. We're not conceding record amount Premier League goals. Now, I don't want us to be some stinky agricultural Brexit-style football team that we just lump it forwards and never, concede goals. But for me, we never had any control with Pochettino's chaos ball, and it wasn't even the fun kind of chaos ball. I keep saying those last 5 games, the winning streak, it made everyone think, okay, you can stay. But the truth was we never were truly in control, and it was just a good feeling in a very difficult season. So I'm okay with the sporting directors and their 18-page reasons for sacking Poch. I genuinely am. And, the jury's out on Maresca. I'm wishing him well or whatever. But so it's kind of decision time. Who do we think is better to run the club? Okay, so I'm going to just talk my way through this. I wanted this consortium to buy Chelsea over the alternatives, and it was because of Todd Boehly, and he was the face, He was the guy talking, and he's what I wanted out of the alternatives. The money was there. I knew the money was there through some sort of fund. I didn't really know about Clearlake, but I was like, okay, the money's there. Todd Boehly, he's the guy. He talks a good game. I want Todd Boehly. Okay, so that's very much. Now, of course, there's the fabled first transfer window where Todd was the interim sporting director. That is a disaster. Now, a lot of people are arguing about this, saying, yeah, it's all Todd's fault. Some people are saying, no, he was being told, Tuchel was asking for Aubameyang, Tuchel was asking for Sterling, it's Tuchel's fault, but, the club decided to grant the manager these signings, and to be fair to Todd Boehly, although that was a terrible transfer window, I feel like he would have learned from it as well to a degree, right? He would have been like, yeah, that was a mistake. I know, I bought the club, I was trying to appease this manager that we didn't know we couldn't work with yet. As before sporting directors, who I do believe Todd Boehly wants. I mean, there's also this report suggesting he wants one sporting director and the owners not to be involved, whereas Bedad wants a collective, two minds, and he wants it fed upwards. Which you can have your own position on that. I do think Todd Boehly would have learnt from that. He also wants the odd... What makes me a little bit nervous about Todd Boehly as well, okay, and what's been reported at least. I don't know the guy. This is aggregation of information for me. I need to be very clear on that. What makes me a bit nervous about him is he does like this all-star stuff. I'm not talking about trying to implement an all-star game. And that's another thing with these owners. They wanted an all-star game, North and South. It's never going to work. They're interested in the idea of a Super League and, this private TV licensing stuff, like all these ways to diversify revenue generation, which is true and fair enough and whatever. I wouldn't actually mind a dedicated streaming platform, to be honest. I obviously don't want a Super League, and I've made myself very clear on that. But all this stuff, maybe they're not going to get, and they're frustrated with maybe their vision not coming true in many ways. I don't know. But the thing that makes me a little bit worried about Todd Boehly, and lots of Chelsea fans will disagree with me here, and that's totally fine, because we're Chelsea, we sign superstars and this, that, and the other. I mean, we do sign superstars, but we also sign players that sort of become superstars more. We're not Real Madrid, We signed Makelele when Real Madrid were done with him. We signed Hazard. He was an up-and-coming star, but he was still like a 20-year-old from Lille. Do you know what I mean? And I think if Real Madrid were in for him, they probably would have bought him because he always dreamt of going for Real Madrid. Man United were really, really heavily in for him. And who else? Diego Costa? Yeah, he was good at Atletico Madrid, but he won 2 Premier Leagues at Chelsea, and everyone was like, oh, Diego Costa's a bit of a striker. Drogba. Do you know what I mean? He became Didier Drogba at Chelsea. So actually, if you think about it, right, we bought good players, but we never bought massive names that could cause problems. Like our red friends up north, Manchester United, which do it all the time. The Casemiros and Varans and Ronaldos. I get loads of Ronaldo fans in my comments. Great. Amazing footballer. Top 2 of all time. Super icon. But also, pushing 40, massive ego, huge financial ramifications of outgoings. Yes, I know he could generate revenue or whatever. And also, just can destroy a dressing room just because of the sheer gravitational force. I don't want that. And of course, there's this idea that Todd Boehly was a little bit starry-eyed when being, George Mensch and stuff like that. Of course, we've since bought 2 of his players in Pedro Neto and Joao Felix, who, by the way, I agree on both the signings. I think they're both great value, and they've both lowered their wage demands to come to Chelsea. Great, fine. But there is an element of that Galactico allure that Todd Boehly that I just don't think would help Chelsea in this modern era. Yeah, buy a good player, buy the odd good player, and maybe buy an Osimhen, but this, super high wages. I endorse the wage structure. I genuinely do. I've got a lot of good friends. I know a lot about football that don't, but I do. And game of opinions. Do you know what I mean? I am a little bit worried about Boehly, but I do think maybe he could learn a few things he would have learned from that first transfer window. And let's talk about Clearlake then. Right, Clearlake Capital are the money men. They seem more invested now than they were when they originally took over Chelsea. It was sort of a scene that Boehly was going to be the face, the mover and shaker, the interim sporting director. And seemingly over time, Bedad Iqbali has become, and it's him over Jose E. Feliciano. It is Iqbali because he's the one that was he's sort of muscled himself in more to the point where he's like, right, I represent the money here, 62% of Chelsea or whatever. I want to like take control and do this stuff. And it seems like that's happened over time. Now, he's wanted the co-sporting directors. He wants, they are the money men, so presumably they're the guys behind the hotel sales, behind the amortization loophole that has now since been closed by the FA, Premier League and UEFA, but at the time it was seen as a loophole to get ahead. I'm guessing it's these guys because they're the money men. They find that it's their job to find a way to get ahead financially. But does that mean you can run a successful sporting franchise? I don't know. I did think by the time I got to this point in the video talking about it, I'd have an idea who I think would be the better out of the two, and I genuinely don't. If, for example, both have the money, let's just say for the sake of whatever, they both have the financial money. If Todd Boehly can have external financial backing to do a takeover, who would you want? I do have that like muscle memory in my brain to lean towards Todd Boehly because in the takeover, this is the guy we were learning about, This is the guy that tried. I'm just going to quickly double check this because I keep saying this. Or I'm not entirely sure where I saw it before, but in 2018, he tried to buy MLS club, I think, or other club. But I heard before, and I read somewhere that he did make an inquiry with Roman Abramovich back in the day. I'm going to have to corroborate that. And Boehly made an attempt to buy Chelsea Football Club in 2019. So 3 years, only 3 years before he actually bought Chelsea, he tried to buy Chelsea before for $3 billion, which is actually back then 2.3 billion pounds, which is basically very little, not much less than he actually ended up buying it for, and we'd won another Champions League after that. Of course, there was the additional money you had to commit, the additional 2 billion that has to be committed to Chelsea. So yes, Todd Boehly has tried to buy Chelsea. I know I can keep saying that now because yes, it happened. It wasn't a fever dream. And I'm leaning sort of into that. And he does want a sporting structure. And I just feel like, I don't know. He wanted a Michael Edwards. We asked to get Michael Edwards in. The guy, of course, is back at Liverpool to rebuild the sporting structure. And everyone reports and feeds up to him. That's what Boehly wanted. But Barley wants co-sporting directors that feed up to the owners. Look, man, I can't decide. So I'm going to leave it to you guys. Make your case in the comment section below. Who would you choose theoretically as a fun exercise out of Boehly and Iqbali? Who should buy out Chelsea? What's going to happen? Absolutely, who knows? Leave your comments down in the comment section. I can't wait to read them. All right, keep it locked. Peace.